And we're off. It is 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Standard Time. I keep on saying daylight time. What the heck? Shout out to Kraka for the correction. Very nice. It is Tuesday, December 7th, 2021 AD. That is Pearl Harbor Day, right? The day that will live in infamy. I chuckle because who said that? Was that FDR? Forget him. FDR. FDR, the commie. Psh, I don't like these people. Anyway, I'm going to have a fun, loosey-goosey Tuesday show for you guys, I think. Buffering, says Disco Heat. We're live on all platforms, I do believe, except for obviously not Trovo. I'm going to talk about climate mess. Climate mess. Authoritative information. Find authoritative information by using Google search, and it will pull up the United Nations. Very trustworthy indeed. And I have a ton of fake news, misinformation headlines to knock down for you from Breitbart from several years back that I just wanted to I compiled them, and I wanted to share them with you. The dictionary is fake news, by the way, just FYI. It's propaganda. It's radical, evil, disgusting propaganda. Facebook and IG, same thing. Voting rights, the DOJ, Department of So-Called Justice, same thing. So all of that and some more Christmas music. I've been playing some fun Christmas music, fun for me, for you guys. And I'll be chatting with you, and I'll be reading your super chats and taking your calls. But anyway, guys, let's get right on with the show!
Have you been naughty or nice?
It's the Hake Report, the Hake Report. La la la. It's the Hake Report, the Hake Report. La la la.
Hey, guys!
It's the Hake Report, the Hake Report. La la la. It's the Hake
Oh, man.
Report, the Hake Report. La la la.
So, how are you guys doing? I am fine. Shout out to Trevor Wesley. I won't tell you what I paid, but if you ever want an excellent podcast intro or theme song or just song, period. Say you want to commission a song for your girlfriend. I don't know if he takes commissions like that, but maybe. This song's stupid. Says A. Owens. He made that the Hake Report reprise that is excellent. I play it Monday through Thursday, and now during December or between Thanksgiving and the New Year, maybe. Because shouldn't we play Christmas music through into the New Year? In fact, the Armenians, and I don't know if the Armenians like me. Some of them do. I like some of them. They do Christmas at January 6th. I think they actually do Christmas on January. Is that true? I just realized that January 6th coincides with the mostly peaceful Capitol protest. But I think that they do what's called, I don't know. They have that Eastern Orthodox thing or whatever, right? That type of Christianity. And I like that. 12 days of Christmas, right? I don't know. The song is hilarious, Hake, says Kevin Howe. Actually, guys, excuse me. Maybe I may have to run out and get a Halls. And some water. Filtered water, usually. Nice, huh? Filtered water. You proud of me? Let me get right off, before I get to any of these stories, to a caller who has an interesting topic. Rick in Hampton, Virginia, calling early today. Nice. Rick in Hampton, Virginia, are you there?
My brother James, man, the Hake Report. La, la, la. What's going on, brother?
Hanging out, having a fun show. Nice.
Wow, shoot. How the weather in L.A., man. The way California is, man, I keep you brothers in prayer, man. Y'all gas is $6 a gallon, and
Yeah.
people can break into y'all studio and steal y'all stuff, and they can't go to jail. So
Don't give them any
keep you guys
ideas
in
now.
mind. Oh, I know. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, how can somebody say something wrong like that? Now, why go into business for? You know?
Yeah, they are putting a clamp down, putting a damper on businesses by allowing crime. They say, "Ooh, poverty causes crime." No, crime causes poverty to an extent. They are
Yep.
evil. They are
Yeah.
evil.
And the politicians are like, man, where's the common sense at? You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
need business going to flee. I would leave. So fast. I mean, like, why go to business? They can, you know, people can break in my store. You know, I was aware one of the callers called to your show one time, and I wasn't aware that insurances don't cover riot. That's good information to know, which a lot of people don't know.
Well, I don't know what all is true or not regarding that stuff, but it's you definitely don't want to lean on insurance to save you. You should be able to
Right.
protect yourself, and you should be able to rely on cops to put a clamp down on the crime. Once, yeah, and try to head it off, in fact, because this stuff is predictable. All these riots and destruction, it's predictable. We've been seeing it for years, decades actually, but years, especially ever since Black Lives Matter came out 9 years ago, or 7 or 8, definitely years
Yeah.
ago, with Michael
And I'm
Brown
glad
and Trayvon Martin, evil people.
I'm glad to see them. Go down and play.
Yeah, people are not liking them. That's for sure.
Yeah. They taking the money they making, buying, enriching themselves, buying themselves property,
Yeah.
and you ain't making that kind of money. And only one place you can get that money from is from the organization itself. You don't
Yep.
have to go to UCLA to figure that out.
Yeah, very true. Sick stuff.
You know, and
We don't need cops.
and-
We need social workers, says Commander Kim.
I know, right? You also want to comment on too.
Your
Yeah,
phone
I
is
know.
coming in and out, Rick. You sound like you're on an Obama phone.
No, I'm on an iPhone. Can you hear
Okay.
me now?
All right. Yeah, it's sounding much better. You know, I'm actually happy with your phone because it's not coming in all crunchy
Oh,
when you talk.
okay.
So that's cool.
I know sometimes I have it away when I'm not being aware of it. But
Yeah,
I
keep
like
it close to your
strong,
mouth.
Clear.
Keep it close
Gotcha.
like that. Nice.
Sounds like a plan, man. 'Cause I definitely want everybody to get the message what comes off your show and Jesse's show, and you know, and people need to hear the truth, man. I'm serious. 'Cause I truly believe, you know, Democrats and liberals. I truly believe they go out their way to de-emasculate men. What you think?
Definitely. They really do. They are, and so do lawbertarians, I might add. They try to get along with everybody. And even so-called conservatives, like the rhinos and some of the conservatives, they try to be all nicey, get along with everybody. It happened to Glenn Beck, bad. And Ted Cruz, teddy bears and soccer balls to the illegal alien child invaders who were coming in back in 2014. They gave a bunch of gimmies to the illegal kids. And you're right, though. The Democrats, especially, communists, don't like men because men stand in the way. Men have more common sense. They stand in the way of this evil. And children, too. That's why they target the children. Children know, a child knows the emperor is wearing no clothes. And the mothers are like, shh, that's rude. Don't say that. Stupid, huh? That's communism.
Right, yeah. If he's not wearing clothes, the parents should say, well, he should have on clothes. I don't know what his problem is, but he's supposed to have on some clothes.
Right.
That's how the parents should respond, you know? I mean,
For sure.
if you don't say nothing, he gonna say, well, I guess we can be naked too.
Yep. That's why I've come to appreciate JLP because sometimes the stuff that he states is so obvious, but people don't notice it or they're not aware of it or you forget. And it's important sometimes to point out the obvious. And then it's clear to other people. The scales fall off of other people's eyes sometimes when you do that. So that's cool. Nice.
Wow. You know, too, as with the demon crats or the demon rats, they'll sit up there and, you know, they don't want, you know, legal immunization where they look at your ID, compare, you know, signatures or nothing like that.
Right.
They want anybody to come vote. Don't ask no questions. Just pull that lever for the Democrats, and you in business. That's it.
Yeah, that's so
And,
true. They are. That's why they're demon rats. That's why I call them demon rats. Because they.
I like that name.
And then they
better
turn
than
around.
Demon rat.
I'm going to talk later in this show about the voting rights shenanigans that they're pushing. They're saying, "Oh, we need voting rights," when really we need voter integrity. So
That's it.
yeah.
Everybody can vote. There's no problem with anybody voting if you have the right ID.
Right.
One government ID, you can vote in any election. When I went doing the Virginia governor's race, when I went in to go vote for Glenn Youngkin, and they checked my ID,
Yep.
made me verify my address, I had no problem with it.
Yeah.
How can anybody
That's cool.
decent have a problem with that?
What's so weird is that's so foreign to me. I've never, ever, ever had to show my ID for voting.
Right.
I've confirmed my last name, my first and last name, and sometimes my address, and then they cross it off.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
They announced, they're like, JoJo is going to vote, you know?
Yeah.
They say
For
Rick
sure.
is on his way to go vote. And then I don't get it. And these people, man, these Democrats, I mean, they really want to keep people heavily dependent, not relying on themselves. They want to barely keep you surviving, because the less you have, the more likely you'll vote for.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Very true. They want you desperate. That's why they did these communist shutdowns for the China virus. That's why they allowed the crime to go out of control and destroy communities so that people would be hamstrung and hurting for money because they can't operate their businesses because crime is out of control. And then they're desperate for government help. You know, there are Republicans who are in these various states that I read about who are doing bailouts for their citizens who have been forced out of work because they didn't comply with the China virus vaccine mandate. But that's not the solution. The solution is opening it up and banning the mandates, because some of these mandates are ridiculous.
Well,
but no, they're bailing people out.
Mandates now.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Now with this new virus, whatever that is, he's trying to hype that up and get people in panic mode. And that way, once you get people in panic mode, you can control them better.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's great to hear from you, Rick.
You too.
Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you, and a Happy New Year to you, man, because December's almost, November flew out of here, man.
I know. It's flying by.
Time is going by, man. It's
Indeed. Yep.
Wow.
Well, thank you, Rick. Take care.
No problem. Love you, James. Love you all, man. Y'all keep up. May God continue to bless y'all, to be prosperous in all parts of life, my brother.
I appreciate that. That's cool.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I will be reading your super chats as well, guys. Michelle asks, hey, when will you get super chats here on YouTube? Do you need to meet certain requirements first, like so many followers or likes? Michelle67, I appreciate you, and I appreciate the question, but you are way behind. I was getting super chats like crazy left and right, like Happy Jacks on YouTube until like a year or two ago, and then they demonetized me. So no super chats. But I appreciate the question. But I will I'll type in super so you can do the super chats. But that's how you can give super chats. I just typed it into the live chat. Anyway, let me quickly, before I get to my stories, I want to get to a caller whom all of you know and love, especially Brandon M. over there on Odyssey. Zach in Columbus, Ohio, checking in. How are you doing, Zach?
Hello, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
All right, Hake, how have you been doing?
I've been well. It's been a long time since I've heard from you, man.
It has been a long time. You know, what inspired me to call the show was Skip texted me Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow, that's
and
cool.
I've been so busy with school and everything, you know, my senior year.
Yeah.
That I'm in school when the show's going on. And today we had a day off, and I was like, you know what? I got to call in the Hake Report.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that you thought of it, and shout out to Skip, the friendliest man on that side of the Mississippi, right? Yeah, a great and friendly man. That's cool that he texted you Happy Thanksgiving. Well, Happy Thanksgiving to you and Merry Christmas to you. And I appreciate you calling in and checking in. That's cool.
Yes, of course. And happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas to everybody on the Hake Report.
Nice. Appreciate that, man.
What's been going on? Has Earl called in a while?
He has not called in since, I want to say, wow, was it Men's History Month or White History Month, or was it like October? It's been, in any case, it has been months since we've heard from Earl. Don't know what happened. Don't know what's going on. Some speculate that he may be dead. I cannot confirm or deny. So, yeah, I don't know.
Could be.
We have had some fun stuff going on. I got sick last week. Nasty sickness. And the week
cold,
before.
Like a flu?
Yeah, something where I had a headache, I had a fever, and my skin kind of hurt. Like when I would lay down, because I sleep on the floor, right, from my back. And so like the skin on my back where the bones are pressuring more on the floor, the skin was kind of hurting. And then I eventually got over it, but I'm still head congested. And early mornings, I want to cough a little. But yeah, it's crazy sickness. Been sleepy.
That's
very low appetite too.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of those symptoms before. Well, some of them I have.
No real runny nose. I mean, sometimes it's a little plugged up. No, not heavy, not too much coughing. No respiratory or intestinal problems. So, yeah, interesting.
That is very interesting.
I had a crazy fever, though, for like a solid 3 or 4 days. So,
gosh.
say crazy.
Were you still
I just
doing
mean
the
fever.
show?
No, I didn't do the show. I stayed home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm
I know
considerate.
Jesse was out for a little bit. I saw that.
Yeah.
Was he sick as well?
Yeah, I must have. Either I gave it to him or Nick. Maybe it was Nick. Let's blame Nick. Although Nick didn't seem to ever even have to take many days off at all. What the heck? I guess he's young.
Yeah, he is. Well, what about Maze? Has Maze called in?
A little bit. Yeah, here and there. She calls in. She's a sweet woman.
Yes, she is.
In certain ways.
Yep. What about Tony?
Tony from California has been calling in pretty commonly, even on the JLP show. You know, he got banned from the JLP show for a while. But Tony from California, just a silly person, always trying to call in about the whites doing some crime or other, pretending that it's as bad as the blacks or something. I don't know. He's trying to be the opposite.
Same old Tony.
Yeah.
Same old Tony. I am not going to the military anymore, though.
Oh, no? Okay. Well, why not, may I ask?
I've decided that it's not the right path for me.
Okay.
I do not want to go down that path. I was thinking about it for a while, but, I was like, this is going to corrupt my life.
How so?
I can't. I don't know. I didn't want to give all that time,
Yeah.
I wanted to live my life freely, have a regular job, be able to live my life freely. There's nothing wrong with the military. I just wasn't for me.
Okay. No, I totally accept that. It crossed my mind to go into the military back when I was a freshman in high school. And then they were like, no, go to college, my parents. And especially my mother. And then I'm like, okay, I had the mindset to just go to college instead. And then after college, several years after college, I was thinking again about maybe going into the military. But then I'm like, Obama was just elected. I didn't want to go into some crazy war and lose a limb or get maimed or killed. And I woke up thinking about that. I'm like, oh no, let me just cancel this. But I went through MEPS and everything. I was getting in shape. I was going to go into the Marines and be an officer. Because you can be an officer if you have a degree. It's so dumb. But no, I didn't. I decided not to do it either. I respect the people who have. not automatically. Some of them don't. Some of them do it just for the handouts, which is an acceptable thing to do because honestly, the military has been under attack. It has been subverted. So those of you who want to use the military for the benefits, do it. And you can be a light in a dark place if you don't mind taking the risk and taking the vax, or if you can get out of taking the vax, maybe you have a medical or religious exemption. I've heard guys recommend the Air Force. My father went to the Air Force, but
yeah, that's where I was thinking about going. The Air Force is probably the best branch.
That's what I've heard as far as just the sweetness, the quality of life, and yeah.
The Marines are pretty tough though.
Yeah, the Marines, the Army, pretty tough. Yeah, I respect the Marines, but there you want to become tough in your own life, and not necessarily be a slave to the man.
That is very true.
Yeah,
very, very true.
Well, that's cool, man. I wish you well in your work after high school. After are you in the middle of your senior year?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool, man.
Middle, yep.
Well, I wish you well.
Thank you. Pretty interesting stuff going on this year. Not too many. A lot of more liberals this year. I've realized at my school.
Yeah.
A lot of dirty looks. On Hat Day, I decided to wear my Trump hat.
Okay.
And it was a lot of dirty looks, but not really many comments on it, you know?
Okay. Yeah, people are cowards. And you just stay friendly. You stay you, man.
I will. And good luck to everybody on the Hake Report. Hopefully I can call in more frequently.
That'd be great.
Yes. Christmas break is getting ready to come up, so you know, good times.
Indeed. It's nice to hear a young man call it Christmas break rather than winter break. Give me a break.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, take care.
All right, you too.
All right. I'm going to get to Richard in North Carolina next, but let me finally get to some of my stuff that I wanted to share with you today. I have some climate throwback stuff for you guys. You guys remember in 2019, this was from Drudge. They actually linked it to an editorial in Bulletin of the Atomic Scientist, and I have a screenshot of this particular blog post. Kids set for a nationwide climate strike from school. They did a walkout. They did a climate march. Remember this in 2019? And the headline reads, "Adults won't take climate change seriously, so we, the youth, are forced to strike." Stupid! The authors are these three females, FYI. Isn't it always the way? The little girls, the little know-it-all girls, try to act like they know what they're talking about. Isra Hirsi is one of them. Good old-fashioned American name, Isra Hirsi. No, I forget where she's from. Haven Coleman, another woman, and Alexandria Villaseñor. And they wrote this article, March 7th, 2019. Lead organizers of the U.S. Youth Climate Strike, part of a globalist student movement inspired by 16-year-old climate activist Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg. I'm repeating it because I'm trying to pronounce it correctly, the way that my friend and yours, Samuel from Sweden, told me how to. He made a video post explaining how to pronounce Greta Thunberg, because a lot of you guys call her Greta Thunberg, but she's Swedish and it's pronounced Greta Thunberg, something like that. Anyway, he made a video, but maybe he made it private or unlisted. She had weekly school strikes in Sweden and other European countries. She was leading that, right? Another female, right? Now she's a young woman. The kids say they're fed up with decades of inaction on climate change, even though they're not even decades old. Am I right? Reminds me of the black saying, 400 years, and to this day. And no black has lived 400 years. except maybe Jesse Lee Peterson might.
You know we've been fighting 400 and still fighting to this day.
That's right. You know Deontay. So they're striking in support of the Green New Deal Cortez's thing, Alexandria Cortez, Sandy Cortez, citing the UN's IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report on global temperature rise. They don't know what they're talking about. So, and by the way, another little screenshot for you. I read a Google/Chrome update blog post about sustainability, describing, and they have this little feature, right? On the new Google Chrome, you can highlight and share the highlighted text of a particular article so that they can see what you saw that you wanted to share with them on the page, right? Well, they describe how, this is a quote, when people come to Google search with questions about climate change, we'll show authoritative information from sources like the United Nations, and it gets cut off. United Nations, to quote the great Alex Jones, Google is evil, and to quote James Hake, the United Nations is evil, the evil UN. So I have about 30 headlines or more. Well, I tampered it down, maybe 27, that I gathered for my February 19th, 2021 show. I don't know if I covered it back then. Mostly Breitbart headlines, because Breitbart, I have to disavow Breitbart, guys, because Breitbart is misinformation censored by Facebook and also not accepted in Wikipedia. They are a bad source. They're not a good source, guys. Okay? Believe them. These are mostly from 2014 to 2015. It's interesting to me, anyway, to look back several years, and then I will get back to calls, guys. This is Breitbart from March of 2019. Greenpeace founder, and I remember reading this to you guys. Greenpeace founder, global warming hoax, whoa, I disavow that statement, pushed by corrupt scientists hooked on government grants. Isn't that interesting? The scientists want money. They get money from not so much the private sector, but but they do from a little bit from the commies, but from the government. Greenpeace co-founder and former president of Greenpeace Canada, Patrick Moore, went on Breitbart Radio, wow, fake news, misinformation, and said fear has been used all throughout history to gain control of people's minds and wallets. Isn't that the case to this day? So evil. The China virus, anybody, right? Fear.
To this day.
Fear. And pushing fear on the blacks, too. Racism. I'm afraid of the police. And the climate catastrophe is strictly a fear campaign, says Patrick Moore. Well, fear and guilt. You're afraid you're killing your children because you're driving them in your SUV, and you feel guilty for doing that. He called out the media echo chamber, fake news, as he called it, repeating fear-based stories over and over. Isn't this interesting? Patrick Moore, Greenpeace co-founder, a little hippie guy, old hippie. The old people are a little bit smarter than the young. Sometimes much smarter. Green politicians, green is the new red, green is environmentalist, who are buying scientists with government money to produce fear for them in the form of scientific-looking materials, and crony capitalist green businesses taking advantage of massive subsidies, huge tax write-offs, and government mandates. Those are his words. I, of course, disavow that because that took place on Breitbart, which is misinformation. He also called out the 99% of scientists line. I think they say 97%, but he's saying when they talk about the 99% consensus on climate change, that's a completely ridiculous and false numbers. But most of the scientists, to put in quotes, scientists, he's using air quotes too, who are pushing this catastrophic theory are getting paid by public money. He said it's taking over science with superstition and a kind of toxic combination of religion and political ideology. There is no truth to this. It's a complete hoax and scam. I disavow that statement. Interesting, huh? Here's an article from 2014, Breitbart News, by James Dellingpole. He wrote a lot of these articles. April 8th, 2014. School children are terrorized and brainwashed by green propaganda, so says a damning survey. Wow. British school children being brainwashed. This is 2014, several years ago. And those kids are now the Greta Thunbergs of today, right? British school children being brainwashed by a deep green environmental curriculum which fills their heads with confusion, ignorance, and fear, says a new survey study by Global Warming Policy Foundation. Global Warming Policy Foundation is a climate skeptic, climate deniers out of the UK. They are Global Warming Policy Foundation. So they are watching the people who are putting out this propaganda. And they put out their own propaganda. The report by science writer Andrew Montford and statistician John Shade finds that eco-activism has been given free rein within schools. Reminds me of the way that the female, college-educated female teachers are brainwashing children about racism, right? Same thing with this. Given free rein within schools for at least 3 decades. 3 decades. So those of you guys who are 30, 40 years old, oh yeah, we were subjected to this too. Save the earth, environmentalism, all that stuff. Children are being encouraged to become little political activists. Of course, this is in the UK, but it happened in the United States too, with a duty to save the planet, not least by putting pressure on their parents. And it's an amazing article to me, documenting propaganda from the 80s, from the 90s, from 2009, and not to this day because it was 2014. But let's be honest, it's worse today than ever. So lots of censorship going on, lies. Twitter suspends, this is an article from 2015, April 3rd, 2015, by Donna Rachel Edmonds. Twitter suspends the second global warming skeptics account in 2 weeks. So a report from 2015 Breitbart News. So Twitter's been censoring for a solid several years. Suspended the account of a second global warming skeptic for use of the word crap. Sorry, kids, but it's his word in reference to the widely debunked hockey stick graph. You guys ever heard of the hockey stick graph? That's where they say, oh, they started using greenhouse CO2, the Industrial Revolution or whatever, right? And ever since then, the CO2 levels have gone way up, and so has global warming. And the hockey stick is straight line, straight line, straight line, and then boom. But that was a debunked graph. It was a fake propaganda. Wow. And he called it crap, and Twitter suspended him. His opponent, he put out a different graph, and talking about something. Tom Nelson is no. Let's see. Yeah, Tom Nelson is the guy who was suspended back in 2015 from Twitter. They said, oh, you have to delete this tweet, and then he posted a screenshot. They suspended him. And it follows the suspension of the account of Steve Goddard over a week ago. Tried to make a tweet around 8 a.m. and it failed to go through, he told the Daily Caller. The message appeared on the top of my Twitter account that I was been suspended for a violation of Twitter rules. So Twitter's been pushing the climate stuff. Interesting, huh? So as YouTube, no doubt YouTube will have the authoritative information on what's going on with the climate on the bottom of my YouTube video if they don't delete this video. But I don't think they'll delete it because I disavow all whatever, right? All misinformation. Michael Mann is author of the debunked hockey stick graph, and he presents a lecture on scientific ethics. That's another headline from 2014, from December of 2014 by Donna Rachel Edmonds on Breitbart. Interesting, huh? Michael Mann, the climatologist who constructed the now debunked hockey stick graph designed to make the case for global warming, today delivered a lecture, December 15th, 2014, on professional ethics for climate scientists. Ha! Crazy, huh? ABC, CBS have not hosted scientists critical of the China virus, of global warming for almost 4 years, reports Breitbart's William Bigelow, March 7th, 2014. If you think the big three television networks are providing a fair and balanced presentation on the case for global warming, think again. In the past 1,300 days, as of 2014, CBS and ABC have not shown one scientist skeptical about the global warming. I don't know why we keep wanting to say China virus. Here's some propaganda. Mitt Romney, 2015, January 22nd. I believe in global warming. Oh, pack it up, folks. Mitt Romney, who also supported the Black Lives Matter, he marched at a Black Lives Matter protest. He He believes in global warming and Black Lives Matter. Two fake things, right? No, I'm kidding. Global warming is real, guys. UN appoints Democrat billionaire ex-New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg as climate change envoy, 2014. Leonardo DiCaprio, messenger of peace for addressing climate change. Can't even take that guy seriously in real life. Leonardo DiCaprio, he's an actor. And he played in that movie that I didn't watch. Titanic? Hyped up movie? I didn't watch it. United Nations will honor Leonardo DiCaprio with the official title Messenger of Peace for his activist approach in addressing climate change crisis. DiCaprio has been designated speaker of the UN Climate Summit on September 23rd. I remember watching him give a tortured talk about the the climate mess. George Clooney says global warming skeptics are stupid and ridiculous. That same guy who supports Obama. He's stupid and ridiculous. Arnold Schwarzenegger says that, what did he say? Arnold Schwarzenegger, the former governor of California, says the public listens to actors over scientists on the global warming stuff. 2014, he told a press gathering that actors must address issues like global warming in order to make an impact on the public at large. Only actors will really get the ultimate attention. The former governor said, scientists will never get the kind of attention that someone in show business gets. And so Harrison Ford, the guy who played Han Solo, actor, he crashes his plane all the time. Don Cheadle, that skinny black guy, Don Cheadle. Matt Damon, the guy who played Bourne Identity, right? Matt Damon, he also played that goofy, dumb movie with that guy who committed suicide. And Ben Affleck, I think. Goofy Matt Damon. I like him in the Bourne stuff. He should just stick with that. And director James Cameron, all part of the Showtime miniseries, Years of Living Dangerously, pushing fears about about climate change. Obama's 97% climate consensus completely debunked, says Breitbart News' James Delling poll. And Vincent James, the great real Vincent James, has debunked that repeatedly as well. The 97% of scientists agree. Crazy, huh? Real Vincent James over there on Telegram. A researcher fiend, akin to the great Ann Coulter. Obama flashback. My energy plan will make electricity rates skyrocket, increasing dependence. Reminds me of what that Biden is doing. Climate change is as certain as Auschwitz, claims The Guardian. Global warming deniers are as bad as Holocaust deniers because climate change is as certain as Auschwitz, says a Guardian columnist Nick Cohen. The Guardian is a far-left foreign outlet. Interesting, huh? That's from Mark Morano at Climate Depot. 2014 was not the hottest year on record, says Breitbart. So why did NASA claim it was? Sounds familiar. They tried to do the same thing recently with 2020 or something. MSNBC's Chris Hayes says preventing global warming is like freeing slaves. The Nation magazine, MSNBC host Christopher Hayes spent thousands of words on that mess. Global warming will cause war, pestilence, famine, and death, says new IPCC report, Inevitability. Crazy, huh? And that's the IPCC. There are people who oppose this IPCC. It's not authoritative. The UN IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. MIT scientists says global warming believers are a cult. That's MIT professor emeritus Richard Lindzen. Bet you haven't heard of the, or maybe you haven't heard of the scientists who oppose this stuff. He went on Howie Carr's show. Howie Carr has been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, by the way. I believe he has. As with any cult, once the mythology of the cult begins to fall apart, instead of saying, oh, we were wrong, they get more and more fanatical. That's what's happening here, said Lindzen, a 74-year-old man. He was 74 in 2015. Government agencies, including NASA, announced in 2014 that 2014 was the hottest year in recorded history, as the New York Times put it in an early edition. Last year has since been demoted by the Times as the hottest since record-keeping began in 1880. That's only 140 years. That's not very long. They're going to be constantly making records. Wild, huh? And on and on and on it goes. 70% of the Earth is oceans. We can't measure those temperatures very well. They can be off half a degree, a quarter of a degree, even 0.2 of a degree change would be tiny, but 2/100ths is what they think it has changed. But they can't measure the temperature of the ocean. Interesting, huh? As soon as you ask about it, you're a denier. Yeah. Predicted deaths from climate change are exaggerated tenfold, says IPCC co-founder. Isn't this interesting? You haven't heard about the UN IPCC people who oppose what they're saying, but the co-founder of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change opposes the propaganda that they put out. World Health Organization report, the evil UN's corrupt WHO, World Health Organization report predicted the scale of deaths from global warming in decades to come. But this guy says that it was exaggerated tenfold. Dr. Inder Goklani was a member of the delegation that set up this IPCC, UN IPCC, authoritative governmental agency, according to Google, right? The WHO's report, WHO's report, predicts 250,000 deaths per year between 2030 and 2050. A figure that Dr. Goklani, says is preposterous. Willful exaggerations. It risks scaring people into taking ill-considered costly actions to limit greenhouse gases rather than focusing on higher priority global health issues such as hunger, malaria, diarrheal disease, which can be addressed at a fraction of the cost. Isn't that interesting? Something less costly but more effective in saving lives? No, we don't want to do that. We want to pretend climate mess. A professor quit the 538 blog. Remember the 538 blog? Environmental studies professor Roger Pielke Jr. has quit Nate Silver's 538 blog. Bunch of dissenters, right? Over a controversy that arose after he wrote a post denying that global warming is responsible for increasing costs of recovery for national disasters. Wow, natural disasters. The Church of Global Warming burns another heretic. Yep. USA leads the world. Happy to live in the USA in climate change denial, according to a 2014 poll. Nice. The United States, independent thinkers. Good Will Hunting is an amazing movie, Hake. No, it's not. It's stupid. It's boring. It's emotional. And those guys are weak. And it has a song by that guy, Elliott Smith, who put a steak knife in his own heart. Or maybe it was his half-Japanese girlfriend. Same one that the Weezer guy had. It's a weak movie for weak people. It was boring. Good Will Hunting. Puh. And that guy that committed suicide, too. Robin Williams. Psh, pathetic. Dumb. Don't fall for that stuff. Was it good? I don't know. Maybe I should watch it again. But I'm very biased against it now. Leading climate scientist defects, no longer believes in the consensus, according to Breitbart, May 2014. One of the world's most eminent climate scientists, several decades a global warmist, has defected to the climate skeptic camp. Lennart Bengtsson, Swedish climatologist, meteorologist, former director of the Max Planck Institute for Meteorology in Hamburg, agreed to join the advisory council of Britain's Global Warming Policy Foundation, which I've mentioned before. They're GWPF. They are deniers, right? Climate deniers. He resigned soon afterwards, citing pressure from other academics, though. And he was like an old guy. A lead author claims the UN climate change report was rewritten for political reasons. Breitbart, April 27, 2014, by John Hayward. Harvard professor Robert Stavins wrote an open letter, and it was already known that the summary of the latest UN climate report was substantially edited by political interests. Very few media figures and politicians read the full report, only the summary, which actually directly contradicts the full UN report in places. Professor Robert Stavins, claimed the intervention amounted to a serious conflict of interest between scientists and governments. In a specific contact group, he was one of only two scientists present, surrounded by 45 or 50 government officials, he said. He said almost all of them made clear that any text that was considered inconsistent with their interests and politics positions, in multilateral negotiations was treated as unacceptable. Professor Stavins said this created an irreconcilable conflict of interest. Told you, the UN is known to be kind of corrupt. They have commies in charge of stuff. What else did he say? Certainly affects the credibility of the IPCC. But I thought Google told me it's authoritative sources. Where's Robin Williams now? Thank you. Former NASA scientist, global warming is nonsense. I disavow YouTube. I disavow that. 2014, April 26th, Nick Hallett reports, a former NASA scientist has described global warming as nonsense. This person is saying nonsense, dismissing the theory that man-made climate change is an unsubstantiated hypothesis. Professor Les Woodcock, and they list his credits. He has a lot of credits and amazing quotes in this article. Maybe I'll get to them another day. I'm getting tired, though. I'm sure you guys are getting tired, too. Only 3 or 4 more articles left, guys. UN author severs ties with alarmist climate change writing team. I remember this guy, Richard Toll. He's part of the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and he severed ties. He's from Sussex University in England. Am I pronouncing that right? Summary of findings by scientists from 100 countries intentionally plays down the economic benefits of low-level warming. Toll asserts that warmer winters would result in fewer deaths among the elderly. This is the type of stuff that Facebook, to this day, censors, by the way. Warming effect results in fewer deaths among the elderly, increased crop production in some regions, fewer in the case of up in Oregon. I heard the Christmas trees are fewer. That's according to CNN. This professor refutes the UN report, which claims that food prices will rise by up to 84% in 2050 by 2050 due to the effects of global warming. This same guy, Richard Toll, removes his name from the silly and apocalyptic climate change document in 2014 from the IPCC. Interesting, huh? You know who else? Vincent James, real Vincent James, had a recent video on BitChute on this mess. Multiple ones. The hidden truth about global warming and the Paris Climate Accord. The climate change biz boom. I think that was his BitChute video. Yeah. Real Vincent James, the Red Elephants guy. Interesting, huh? Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report. He asked for his name to be removed. Richard Toll did. Economist at University of Sussex, economist, right? Oh, an economist doesn't know this. But he does know economy, and they were making stuff apocalyptic. And it doesn't take a climate scientist to know the truth, right? These people are dishonest. HHS, Health and Human Services, another report. A HHS official calls the agency, Health and Human Services, this is in America, secretive, autocratic, and unaccountable in a resignation letter. According to Breitbart News, this was under the Obama administration. He says science is rife with corruption, incompetence, dishonesty, and fabrication. Well, that's what James Dellingpole reports. But he says, according to the U.S.'s top scientific misconduct official, we have a better idea why. David E. Wright, respected science historian, has quit his job as director of the Office of Research Integrity, ORI, in the Department of Health and Human Services in the United States. Scathing letter about his experiences there. In his resignation letter, he accuses his boss, HHS Assistant Secretary of Health Howard Koh, Asian guy, of running an organization secretive, autocratic, unaccountable. We spend exorbitant amounts of time in meetings and generating repetitive and often meaningless data and reports to make our precinct of the bureaucracy look productive. So they just do busy work so that they look like they're productive so they keep on getting money. Isn't that interesting? Government bureaucracies. None of this renders the slightest bit of assistance to ORI, the Office of Research Integrity, in handling allegations of misconduct or in promoting the responsible conduct of research. Instead, it sucks away time and resources that we might better use to meet our mission. This guy sounds white. One of those white, honest guys, right? One example can be found in this letter from Senator Charles Chuck Grassley, the Republican from Iowa. He's like the oldest Republican on there. To the ORI about the case of the AIDS researcher at Iowa State University who faked data to obtain nearly $19 million in National Institute of Health grant money. National Institute of Health. That's where Fauci's from, by the way. The ORI banned the researcher from receiving grants for 3 years, but has apparently made no attempt to recoup the missing $19 million. He faked data to get $19 million about AIDS, an AIDS researcher. I thought these were honest people. Probably not Christians. On one infographic from clinicalpsychology.net, among its findings, listen to this. 1 in 3 scientists admits using questionable research practices. Admits. 1 in 50 scientists admits to falsifying or fabricating data outright. 2% admit. 71% of scientists report that colleagues have used questionable methods. Whoa, 71%. 14% claim colleagues have falsified data. Wow. This is from clinicalpsychology.net. 14% claim colleagues have falsified data. 71% say they've used questionable methods. Among biomedical research trainees at the University of California, SD, San Diego, UCSD, 5% admitted to modifying results, and 81% said they would fabricate or modify results to win a grant or publish a paper. Money grubbing. What is that word? When you want to be. It starts with an A. When you want to be achieving and stuff like that. Egotistical, self-important scientists. They're not honest. Anyway. That's that. That was a long, oh my gosh. Did I spend a half an hour on that? Wow, what a mess. Well, thank you guys for bearing with me through that. Aggrandizing. Yeah, but no, there's a word that's considered like a good thing. Ambition. Ambitious scientists. Yeah. Turn on the AC. I didn't want to take a break to tell you to turn on the AC, but I've been wanting the AC for about 5 minutes now. All right, let me get to Richard in North Carolina. Thank you guys for bearing with me through that. Are you still there? You guys still there? 335 people? Okay. Richard in North Carolina, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm awake now. Well, am I on the air?
Yes, you are.
I fell asleep.
Are you serious? Or are you just being a jerk?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
All right.
But did you hear how de Blasio, or as I like to call him, DeFalio, his last giving gift to New York to screw them over is to force people to get vaccines before they can work?
Yeah, I did hear that. New York City Socialist Commie Mayor Bill de Blasio, not a Christian, Democrat, married to a former lesbian. Former? Announced China virus vaccine mandate for all private sector employees. Wow. So even if we're a private business and we live in New York City or work there, they have to get it. What a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice that they think that they can do it on a local level when it failed on the federal level.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be so easy to reverse. All you have to bring up is the
I hope so.
appeals court already said that it failed. Yeah, that it's not allowed.
I saw a tweet.
Overbroad.
I was reading this in Hake News, and I saw a tweet that 45% of blacks in New York, 40% of whites, and something like 30 or 35% of Hispanics have not gotten the China virus vaccine, even though they say 90% of workers have gotten the so-called vaccine in New York. I don't know. What the heck?
Well, I go to this one shop. It's a pet store for and it's amazing how they forced on a vaccine mandate for their employees, and then they wonder why they're short-staffed.
Yeah,
and they actually fired good employees over this.
Yeah, it's an attack on the best employees who are often the independent thinkers. It's kind of like what they did to school children. Boys, some of the brightest boys are the ones who are diagnosed with ADHD and autism and stuff, maybe. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But those people, they give them drugs, Ritalin and all that stuff, and make them dull, and they teach school as if it's a bunch of girls in school rather than boys who discover and learn and think for themselves. The girls fall in line and follow instructions and repeat back what's told to them like intellectuals, and then they turn the boys into evil intellectuals too. It's so wicked. That's what they're doing with the workers now. They want only the compliant, only the people who will arrest their fellow Americans, like for example, in the military.
I mean, they were talking about their rationality is because they had to shut down for a week and they lost millions of dollars. I'm just wondering how much money they're going to lose by doing this crap.
Who had to shut down for a week?
This pet store chain had to shut down for a week because of the China virus.
Yeah, they didn't have to. They did not have to.
No, they didn't have to.
Yeah.
They did not have to. I mean, but they're all, they're thinking, well, if everyone's vaccinated, what? How vaccinated? 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots, 5 shots, 6 shots? I mean,
I know.
What is it going to take for people, the government, to finally say, okay, that's enough?
Yeah. How are things in North Carolina for you, man?
North Carolina's good. I mean, we got Roy Cooper, unfortunately, but he's on his last term. But hopefully Mark Robinson will. He said 95% likely he's going to run for governor.
Roy Cooper's
the lieutenant governor.
Roy Cooper is the blackface abortion.
No, that was Ralph Northam.
Oh, okay.
You're thinking Virginia.
Yeah, I always confuse them.
Yeah, no, it's okay. No, Roy
So-called white male Democrats.
He's a Democrat, but he's an ineffective leader altogether. He's sissing out with COVID right now because he wants to be a U.S. senator. He knows that COVID's poison,
oh,
so
man.
he's trying to avoid it now.
So do you have to? You want to beg and grovel? Hired, says JJ Money. That's a reference to these people with the China virus vaccine.
Well, the good thing is Manny Cohen, the DHHS, is leaving, but I think she's being replaced by an ultra-leftist. So that's going to be worse then. I wonder what she's going to try to, funny business she's going to try to pull now.
Yeah.
Because we got to listen to people who are MDs who are not even licensed to practice medicine in North Carolina. They can't even see a patient in North Carolina, but we have to listen to them.
Wow. Who do you hope? Who is the guy that you said you hope gets in office?
Oh, Mark Robinson. He's our lieutenant governor.
Okay, and he's a Republican.
Oh God, die hard.
Okay, that's interesting. How they have a mixed party governor and lieutenant governor. That's how
it usually is in North Carolina because we're kind of we're mostly a red state, but we're semi-purple. But yeah, Mark Robinson will make a great governor one day.
Okay.
Hopefully, if he runs in 2024. I mean, and you can tell he's doing the right things because the left is going after him, calling him all kinds of words. Well, just the typical dictionary of the leftists when it comes to a black man.
Yeah. So, he's a black dude?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think I've seen video of him before. Okay.
Yeah, he's an up-and-coming in the Republican Party. He's a big up-and-comer.
All right.
So, he could be president one day or at least VP.
I don't know if we want another black president. But anyway.
No, I mean, this will make up.
He will be a qualified one? You think so?
Yeah, he'll be a qualified black president.
All right.
And actually black, not mulatto like Obama.
I know. Is it true? Were Obama's parents normal whites, or were they not?
No, his mom was white. His father was black from Africa.
No, but white. His mother was his mother like a normal white. I mean, I heard that they were so-called Christians, but they were not the normal kind of Christians.
His mother's parents, who I think raised him, were insane.
Yeah.
They taught him to be a good little socialist.
She hates her own fellow Americans, or the mother who died.
She hated his father. She hated his father,
but also hated fellow Americans. These are not my people, because his stepfather was an Indonesian guy, Indonesian Muslim. She kept on marrying Muslims, and he tried to take her around some white business people. Said, "I'm taking you around your people," and she's all, "These are not my people." And that's a quote from Obama's book. I heard Obama say it with his own voice on Dinesh D'Souza's movie, 2016.
He freely admitted that his parents were not the best.
Yeah, they were anti-American, especially his mother, and he's just like her. Yeah, what a mess.
Yeah, that's the way.
Watchman for you says his mama was Jewish, and O.D. Resko says Obama's Muslim. I think he's an atheist.
I think he's an atheist. But when people say you don't like Obama, and he says, "Are you racist?" No, I don't like his white half either.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's stupid.
I don't like him.
I know. Well, I appreciate it, Richard. It's good to hear from you.
Take care.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye. Before I get to calls and super chats, I have a lot of super chats to read, guys. But it is 10 a.m. here in Los Angeles, and I want to share with you a nice Christmas song, and it's called Christmas Song from, I think it's from In Praise of Folly, if I'm not mistaken. And it's from the Lujo Records. Man, I hope that is In Praise of Folly. In Praise, is it? Okay. In Praise of Folly, Christmas song from the Lujo Records 2004 compilation, All I Want for Christmas. I'll be right back, guys, for the rest of hour 2. Hang tight.
God gets you the same gift every year. It isn't scarves or sweaters. He never even wraps it or hides it under trees. You see, he's not that sneaky, but you know it's hard for us to shop for him. He has everything, but isn't that he's picky or even tries to give our presents back. He gave to me sweet baby Jesus. Oh, how once the wise man traveled far to find our precious Savior. Never let his questions get beyond the need to follow that which beckons. But you know it's hard for us to follow light when we're too proud and selfish. Blessed be the wise man who sees God's gift, believes, and then accepts it. He gave to me sweet baby Jesus.
I like this song, says Stern Bullen. Thank you. Kind of depressing. This is pure fire, something I would jam to. What's up, Lord Grimm? Beat nice. Singer is terrible. Probably using auto-tune like the Blacks. I ain't decorating my tree to this, says War Eagle. Well, thank you guys for bearing with me through that beautiful song. I think it's a nice song. Great band, Hake, says Ryan A2. I bet you James painted his nails black in his emo youth, says Radulaser. This is awful, says Hydra SX. I did not paint my nails black, and I did not have an emo youth. I didn't really listen that much to In Praise of Folly, but I like this song. This makes me want to hide in my stomach, Hake. Crying music, says Esoteric. Nice to see you. Now, this is really bad, possibly the worst ever played by Hake. Hake, play some Clapton. as in Eric Clapton. He's got some Christmas music. It's a good song, Hake, says XC. It's making me sad, says Jib Jab. Well, guys, I appreciate it. I got to read some super chats before I get to Howard in North Carolina coming up next. He wants to talk about the Black Hebrew Israelites. Over there on Odyssey, saw some interesting chats. Danny says, ICP, IPCC, they're all full of clowns. Insane Clown Posse, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Yeah, indeed. They put the predictions out far enough that they don't have to own them, says Macho Mecha Moo. Yeah. Ragnar says, just to clarify, I've never seen it confirmed or even strongly claimed that Obama's mother was Jewish. Only had that evil mindset for sure, though. How progressive do you have to be, asks B. Emanon, to have sex with an African in the 1950s? I rest my case about Barry's mama. Yeah, because Obama's mother allegedly got with Barack Obama Sr., a Kenyan guy who was Muslim, and then he turned atheist, and he was a communist. What a mess. Some say that she got with Frank Marshall Davis, who was a black so-called American communist, right? Wasn't he a communist? I think he was. Anyway, super chats, guys. Appreciate you guys. Over there on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report, Alexandra states, Hake, there are Serbians in my family. They celebrate Christmas on January 7th. When my auntie, blesses the food, she says, thank you for bringing us together, Jesus, on your real birthday. Big smile. Nice. Lord Bibby42 says, every day has been loosey-goosey since Hake got addicted to them halls. James, FYI, don't take them with root beer. Okay, thank you for the tip, Lord Bibby42, who also states, Hake, you're adamant about that soul patch. If you grow out your sideburns for 6 weeks, I will donate $100 to Bond. You can do it. Oh my gosh, that would look so goofy. I did grow out my sideburns for 6 weeks back 22 years ago. Does that count? But thank you, Lord Bibby42. I shall consider your suggestion. Your girlfriend gave a super chat and asks, how did Greta get her start? Did someone in Sweden just say, hey, this little mental girl is real passionate about the environment. Look at those crazy eyes. Yeah, Greta Thunberg has crazy eyes. Someone get her a mic, stat. She's all, she goes like this, and she gets her big eyes, which I have big eyes too, I know. I was accused of looking like a school shooter by John from Kentucky yesterday. What a mess. I have not school shot anybody, and I will not, I don't think. And hopefully, if I have any children, they don't either. Man, that would be, never mind. Greta Thunberg, you know, I think she's maybe autistic or something. And something that happens with autistic people and people in general, once they start to focus on something, that something seems very important to them. And little girls especially. I mean, Greta Thunberg especially. Yeah. And she has liberal parents. It's evil. It's misguided. And it's right in line, honestly. Let's be honest, your girlfriend. With what the mainstream media wants to push, they're eager to push the children forward to the forefront. And it's not just the mainstream media, but the government and everything. To push their green is the new red climate mess propaganda, right? Anyway. Thank you, your girlfriend. Hydro says, was it you who reported about Glacier National Park replacing signs that predicted its glaciers would be gone by 2020? I don't think that was me. I feel like I would remember that. It might have been me, but I seriously doubt it. I think it was somebody else. Indeed. So, FYI. But thank you. I don't even know if I had heard that before. Hake was goth, says Watchman for you. No, I was not. I was never that. Never. Although I did kind of like those people. They're nice, I guess. Hake, grow a mullet, please. I don't like to call it that. I like to call it hockey hair, an ape drape, a song, or something. Obama's mother was educated, quote unquote, says Big Bump. Shout out to Big Bump. A PhD from the University of Hawaii. Wow. What a mess. Shong? I forget what it was called. Norco neck warmer. Norco is like way out in the boonies. Was that still considered? Are you guys going to accept me for calling it the boonies? They call it a Norco neck warmer. This is from the Vandals. Yeah, that's boonies. Norco is boonies. Norco neck warmer, hockey hair. I got hockey hair. Yes, I do. It's a punk rock song. Anyway, let me get to Howard in North Carolina. How are you doing, Howard? Thank you for holding.
I'm doing fine, James.
Nice.
Happy birthday.
I appreciate it. Indeed. It was my birthday in July 17th, and now it is December 7th.
Hey, what? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
And you're getting a lot of love from North Carolina. You got a lot of viewers in North Carolina. Richard.
Oh, cool. Yeah, indeed.
And all the other calls, I just noticed that.
The beautiful South. I love the South.
Yes, it is beautiful. I guess you would think I'd live in the boonies, and it don't bother me for you to say boonies.
Yeah, I like boonies. I respect them.
I live down on the farm road with farms all around me, cows, chickens. I hear cows, chickens, birds. I love it.
Nice. That's cool.
But about the black Hebrew Israelites, that call in and say they want to do a certain thing to you, and then free and whip you and all that craziness.
Right. I've banned some of those guys because they were just so vulgar and nasty and evil.
But
yes, today is Pearl Harbor Day, guys.
Go ahead, James.
Oh, I just saw in the chat and I got distracted. Somebody said, "Isn't today Pearl Harbor Day?" Yes, indeed. 2,400 Americans were reportedly killed when the Japanese flew in and shot up the place. What a mess.
Sad day for America.
Yeah. Was it a false flag? Did they let it happen? Did they want us to get into the war? I'm just asking questions.
I've heard all kind of. I don't know. You hear so much stuff about.
Yeah, I'm not really into speculation, really.
Other getting into wars, it is. I don't want to. I don't even want to start on that.
Yeah, I agree. It's no use speculating. Just leaving it as I don't know.
Assuming and speculating, it might come out one day, or God might reveal it to you. But just leave it at that. The Hebrew Israelites, they spread hate, and it plainly says in the Bible, and you ought to know in your heart already. I know that it's in the Bible, but I don't know exactly where. I think it might be in Titus and a few of the New Testament. Don't argue about the law and genealogy because it only goes away from the true teachings of God. It leads people away.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that verse?
Repeat it one more time.
Don't argue about the law and genealogy.
Genealogies, yes.
They're going by genealogy, tracing the roots all back.
And useless arguments.
Do what?
They talk about useless arguments that people get.
It says it leads you away from the truth, and the truth is that God loves you and He sent Jesus to save you.
Yeah.
To reverse what Adam did and Eve with
Yeah.
I try not to think about what I'm going to say. I try to let God come through me, you know what I mean? Because I think it, I overthink it, and I just let it come out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to, like Jesse said, he never wrote a speech.
Go ahead. They were pushing, they like to push this idea of identity, of your blood identity, but they are their spirits are far from what Jesus talked about.
Yes, most definitely. And
they justify hating their enemies and hating their brothers, and they pretend that with a female version of love, they have this emotional love and attachment for their fellow race. But that's not real love, and you don't actually have love for your same race. You don't.
Right.
If you don't love everybody.
But I love them.
Yeah.
I understand that hopefully, God says he takes no pleasure in the death of the wicked, or he wants everybody to.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they want to.
I love them. I wish them well.
They don't wish you well.
Well, you're supposed to love your enemies. They're misguided.
Yeah, they are.
I know they don't, but they will. What's that? You reap what you sow.
Yep.
And they will reap what they're sowing, and they're not going to like what they reap if they keep on with it.
Yeah.
And have you heard of the Worldwide Church of God? They think they're the white Israelites. They're the United States and Britain and all the white English.
I have not heard of that.
Even New Zealand, Australia, Britain, the United States, Canada, they're all Israel.
Wow. Silly.
You never heard of that? But they don't.
It's ridiculous.
Preach hate. They don't preach hate. They preach love.
Well.
And they say a lot of things of what Jesse says, but except for that part.
Right.
So you got white ones thinking the same way too.
It's
but
ridiculous.
They don't call themselves Hebrew Israelites.
Yeah.
They just say they're descended from the 10 tribes of Israel.
I think it's silly to even get into that. Like what you said, don't get into these useless genealogies.
It even says that in the Bible not to do that.
Yep.
That's it only brings division and takes away from the true, what he was really trying to, his message.
Yeah.
Of love. And and I want to ask you one more thing.
Yeah, go for it.
Maybe one more thing. I watched a documentary on, and they was talking about the Freemasons and the Illuminati.
Uh-huh.
And these were Christians, preachers. They weren't talking about conspiracy theories. They were just laying it out there for you to make up your own mind, and I respected that part. It told about all those ones that ran Freemasons. It was showing letters of what they wrote, and they think that it's the other way around. Satan is the good God, and God and Jesus are evil.
Sounds satanic to me. Sounds like the communists. They like to flip things on their heads.
And the French Revolution War, and say, I don't know how much all this is true. I don't want to spread no false information, but they actually started the French Revolution, and that French said if you read your history books, it was a good thing, but they actually started that. They controlled the grain market to make the king look bad, and the people were starving, and stirred them up against the king and killed the king and the queen. They were actually good.
Uh-huh.
And then they come over here to the United States, and George Washington actually seen, and he warned America about it. Then they come over here and started it here. And all this third eye stuff and that eye on the dollar bill, they did all that too, and all of them believed in Lucifer. They worked for Lucifer. I can't remember all, and they said
yeah, I don't know, man.
I didn't know that. Have you heard all that?
I haven't heard any of that. I heard that George Washington was a Freemason, but I don't know what type of Freemason he was. I don't know whether it was what they were like back then and who was infiltrating at that time or anything. I don't really know or care, honestly.
Yeah, they seen the evil part of it, and I didn't know that Thomas Jefferson, he didn't, the Book of Revelation and the New Testament.
Yeah, I remember hearing that he tore out parts of the Bible, but whatever, I don't know.
I don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah, I had heard that even as a kid that about him.
It makes you wonder. You really see how Satan works. You got to be careful.
Yeah, that's why you stick with what you know. And these people are liars. They lie about stuff happening today. So, whatever.
And can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go for it.
I like Jesse, you, even though you, Nick, and Chris, and Jesse, y'all are all a little bit different, but you believe in the same core things and you don't change.
Yeah.
You might kind of disagree on a little bit of stuff with Jesse and everybody, you know, but y'all really stick together. And I like that Jesse says, don't listen to me. If everybody just don't listen to me, don't take my word for it. I've never heard another preacher preach like you.
I know. Yep. Very true.
Look at thyself.
Yep.
Search your heart. And he says, don't listen to me. He's not going to convince or try to convince anybody like those two calls with Nick.
Yeah.
That God exists. You see it or you don't. He'll let you see it, you know, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
That's what and he says, don't listen to me.
Yeah, no other preacher talks like that. And they
No,
say,
I've
know for
said my
know for
whole
yourself.
life, that's why I connect so with Jesse, because, and you and Nick and Nick's still growing in his. He's very intelligent. So like he tried to explain to those two callers what's you know, Jesse there this morning, but Nick was.
Yeah. Nick filled in for
his,
Jesse today.
Yeah.
He was out sick.
That Victor guy was trying to. He wants to intellectually try to prove God, but
right.
You don't understand why Jesse don't do that.
You can't prove it to people.
They either see it or they don't.
Yep. Interesting, man. I appreciate the call, Howard. Nice to hear from you. Merry Christmas, too.
You too, James. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I wish you well.
All right.
I hope Jesse gets well. I wish all y'all well to get better.
Oh, yeah. No, he's doing much better.
Illegal alien disease, like Nick said.
Yeah.
Get well soon and get back on, and y'all keep the good work.
All right. Thanks again, Howard.
If people can't see it,
let them suffer.
No, hopefully he's opened up a lot of eyes. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you, James.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Very nice. Jaco Juhani says, I've got a song for you if you wish to play it sometime, Hake. Have a good one. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. He sent me a YouTube video that says, the Teutonic Order, Die Eisenfaust am Lanzenschaft music video. Well, thank you. 444,000 views. Disclaimer, the upload content does not reflect the worldview of the creator. Anyway, thank you, sir. I shall look into it. And there's a guy, Purdy, who did a cover of a Pink Floyd song, Another Brick in the Wall, I think. And he's been begging or asking or reminding me that he would like me to play his song. I don't usually play the request. I play stuff that I was listening to 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 25 years ago, the Christian songs. But you just said Hail Hitler, says Francisco Giovanni Becerra. No, I didn't. If I don't understand it, maybe I shouldn't have read it then. But I don't see Hitler listed here at all, man. You're lying to me. But anyway, it was in German, right? Teutonic Order, the Teutonic Knights. Those were Christians, right? The Teutonic Knights? I think they were. Yes, indeed. Quick story before I get back to Joe in Florida wants to talk about the Democrats and the KKK. The Democrats are much worse than the KKK, by the way, just so you know. The Democrats today, oh my gosh, ridiculous. Glacier National Park, according to 3KR-TV, Great Falls, local news. Glacier National Park, this is a report from January 9th of 2020. Glacier National Park is removing glaciers will be gone by 2020 signs. Wow. For more than a decade, signs at Glacier National Park warned visitors that the glaciers would be gone by the year 2020. Now those signs are being changed because it's 2020, and they're still there. Originally added to the park to reflect climate change predictions by the U.S. Geological Survey, Glacier National Park female spokesman Gina Kurzman explained that the latest research shows shrinking of some glaciers, but in ways much more complex than what was predicted. Because of this, the park must update all signs around the park which state that all glaciers will be melted by 2020. Silly. Kurzman, probably not a Christian, Gina Kurzman, Glacier National Park's female spokesman, says Glacier National Park will work with the U.S. Geological Survey to monitor the glaciers and update the remainder of the signs as necessary. The glacier warning isn't being removed entirely, she told CNN, Commie Nonsense Network. Instead, the new signs will say when they will completely disappear depends on how and when we act. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. One thing is consistent. The glaciers in the park are shrinking. Ridiculous. Stupid. Anyway, yeah, just endless lies from the Glacier National Park website. Glaciers are masses of ice that are so big they move under the influence of gravity. They grow when winter snow accumulation exceeds summer melting. They retreat when melting outpaces snowfall. The minimum size criterion for a glacier is 0.1 square kilometer, or about 25 acres. Below this size, accumulated ice generally does not move and is stagnant. Many years of snow accumulation compacts the bottom layers of snow into ice. Under the huge weight of the snowpack, usually 100 feet, 30.5 meters thick or more, the ice becomes viscous and allows the mass to slide downhill. The glacier is moving. Cool, huh? The appearance of crevices and cracks attest to a glacier's movement. Glaciers don't bulldoze landscape as much as they melt and refreeze, plucking material from areas of snow deposition and moving it to other areas like downhill conveyor belts. Silly, huh? Silly. They changed the signs and shamelessly said, one thing is for sure, they're melting. It depends on when we act. Yeah, right. I bet you that's a lie, too. Don't you bet? Don't you bet? Anyway, I get a little carried away here. Quick report on these vax mandates. Jen Psaki was running her mouth, by the way. Jen Psaki? Psh, I don't know if I want to play this. Should I play this? Yeah, let me just play this. Jen Psaki somewhat mockingly asks a reporter at the White House daily press briefing if the U.S. should be sending out rapid China virus tests to every household. And this guy claims in the UK you can order one pack containing 7 tests every day, according to government.uk, the UK government, which are a bunch of silly people. But even sillier, apparently, is the sleazy Biden administration. Listen to this. Clip 12, I think. This is Jen Psaki, it should be anyway.
Look at what we've done over the course of time. We've quadrupled the size of our testing plan. We've cut the cost significantly over the past few months. And this effort to ensure insurers you're able to get your tests refunded means 150 million Americans will be able to get free tests.
Complicated though. Why not just make them free and give them out and have them available everywhere?
Should we just send one to every American?
Maybe.
Then what happens if every American has one test? How much does that cost, and then what happens after that?
All I know is that other countries seem to be making them available in greater quantities for less money.
Well, I think we share the same objective, which is to make them less expensive and more accessible, right? Every country's going to do that differently, and I was just noting that, again, our tests go through the FDA approval process.
Hake's long-lost twin brother. Hake, that could be your sister. Whatever. Forget you, Flat Sabbath. No, not forget. Shout out to the Facebook crew. And Jib Jab says, if they mouths are moving, then you know they lying. What's up to the Twitch crew? Speaking of fake news, guys, Allyship. Did you hear me in the Hake News segment? The far-left female-run outlet TheSkimm reports, what's reminding us what the world needs? Dictionary.com. AP reports. Dictionary.com. Anoints. Anoints. Interesting word. Anoints. Isn't that a religious word? Isn't that what... Wasn't King David anointed by Samuel or somebody in front of his brothers to become like the next king of Israel? Anointed by God. Dictionary.com. Anoints. Allyship. Word of the year for the year 2021. How embarrassing. Dictionary is fake news. I told you before, and I'll say it again. It's an old noun made new again, says AP. Far left enemies of America, AP. AP. It's an article by Leanne Italy. Leanne with 2 N's. Italy. And I have a screenshot just of this headline, which has a screenshot of dictionary.com with allyship, the status or role of a person who advocates and actively works for the inclusion of a marginalized or politicized group in all areas of society, not as a member of that group, but in solidarity, which is a communist buzzword, solidarity with its struggle. Struggle? Mein Kampf? Wow, struggle. And point of view and under its leadership. Mein Kampf means my struggle, by the way. I learned that from Dennis Prager. He almost made his book called My Struggle. The relationship or status of persons, groups, or nations associating and cooperating with one another for a common cause or purpose. Genuine allyship, says dictionary.com, does not come with special recognition. We do not get awards for confronting issues people have to live with every day. So that means you whites, you males, you Christians, you have to be allies, and you're not going to get any credit. Hake doesn't like Italians, says Louis Buzzi. No, I am an ally. I'm in allyship. No, Axis. Were the Axis the good guys or the Allies the good guys? Or were they all bad? It seems like the commies won in World War II. Anyway, or the Cold War or something. I don't know. They're winning now. The culture war. In 1943, fearing that earlier racist immigration laws would hinder allyship with China in the war against Japan, the U.S. passed legislation allowing 105 Chinese immigrants per year. Wow. Oh my gosh. 1943. 105 Chinese immigrants per year. How far we've fallen. The 1965 Immigration Act just opened the floodgates. The struggle is real. Yeah, allyship. The lookup site with 70 million monthly users on dictionary.com took the unusual step of anointing. Why is it saying anointing? A word it added just last month. Allyship first surfaced in the mid-1800s, says John Kelly, the site's associate director of content and education. Probably not a Christian, my guess. I don't know. It might be a surprising choice for some. He said ahead of Monday's unveiling, I guess this was yesterday. In the past few decades, the term has evolved to take on more nuanced and specific meaning, continuing to evolve, and we saw that in many ways. Ridiculous. Embarrassing. Shameful. Stupid. Anyway, I have more stuff to get to. I want to see if I can play Vanita Gupta, but I don't know if I'll have time. Her clip is like almost 5 minutes long. But let me get to, finally, Joe in Florida wants to talk about the Democrats and the KKK. What's up, Joe in Florida? How are you?
Hey, what's going on, James? Long time no hear from.
Hey! It's great to hear from you.
Great. Yeah, it was good to see you at the men's conference, man.
Yeah,
good time.
That's cool,
hey,
man.
So speaking of which, I finally got around to watching that movie, Uncle Tom, not too long ago.
Okay.
And I had a couple of light bulb moments, and one of them was, and I'm not even sure this is true, right? So this is, I'm coming more as a question, right?
Okay.
So I think it's more so common knowledge that the Democratic Party started the KKK, and then the narrative just kind of like stops there.
Right.
So there was a guest on there. I don't know who it was because it wasn't like one of the more prominent guys like Jesse or Larry Elder. It was just some guy or whatever.
Yeah.
But he kind of filled in the square for me as to why. And what he had to say about it was specifically they were created by the Democratic Party to intimidate and kind of rouse up black people from discouraging to being Republicans and becoming Democrats. Is that something that sounds right to you, or did you know that? I didn't know that was so common knowledge necessarily.
You know, I had heard that, and I've heard a bunch of different things about the KKK. I heard that, yeah, I've seen multiple people in chat say that the KKK West is saying the KKK was formed to protect the South after the war was over because the feds, you know, the Union soldiers, the feds, if you will, were in meddling and doing the Reconstruction stuff. And they may not have been doing all good stuff. The North was not necessarily all good. And the South certainly wasn't necessarily all bad. There were good and evil on both sides.
It seems to me it can be equal parts of a couple of things because
true.
Think about how nefarious of an action that would be for the Democratic Party to create a problem to then use it to sort of corral black people to protect them from this sort of, you know, evil entity. And you know, I won't doubt that there were people part of the KKK that probably maybe carried out this mission with a certain kind of zeal because they had hate in their heart.
Yeah.
But to think that they promulgated racism by the Democratic Party in order to discourage black Republicans from staying black Republicans is a whole different sort of 4D chess level move that I was just like, whoa, is this true? So I just wanted to kind of call and see if that part was common knowledge because, you know, most people are pretty apprised that it was started by the Democratic Party, but then it just sort of stops there.
Right.
But then to go on to say the why, and the why being to discourage and intimidate and rouse black people away from the Republican Party was a super light bulb moment for me. And if it is true, and if it can be found out to be true, should be one of the more forefront parts of that message, not just, oh, it was started by a Democratic Party, because then it just kind of dies there.
I know. You know, what's most useful to me is to point out that they're using this KKK boogeyman and this racism stuff to this day to scare the blacks into being dumb, blind, brainwashed Democrats.
To this day.
It's ridiculous. And they're stupid.
Okay,
they're stupid for falling for it. And you know what? Evil is like a woman. They will confuse you. They will be your enemy, and they will pretend to be your friend. And that's what Democrats have done. Is they are the enemies of the people, but then they turn around and pretend to be the people's friend. They shut you down. They tear apart your cities. They increase the crime, and then they swoop in and pretend to save you and to be your protector when really they are your abuser and evil people.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all I had. I was just wondering if, like, you know, this was common knowledge and this was just something that, you know, like I was never really aware of, and everybody that knows the truth knew that it was, you know, part of why it was started was to intimidate black Republicans to come over or whatever. Because, I'll tell you one thing. If that is true, that's a special kind of evil that is just, it makes me feel like good is out of the league of evil when you talk about doing stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
doesn't it?
Yeah, kind of. I don't know, because I'm more interested in the cleverness of evil happening today that there's no question about, that you can just see before your eyes.
Sure.
And they are so deceptive and clever, you know? And there are a lot of black Republicans and black conservatives who still hate white people. They still believe this racism thing. They're still into the blind, brainwashed, shallow color racism stuff. They are into being black more than being for America. And so I don't know if I would believe the stuff that they're putting out necessarily, because they are not necessarily of God, just because they've turned so-called conservative or even Christian.
Right.
Because there's a lot of fake Christians out there and rhino conservatives. Look at that rhino Senator Tim Scott from North Carolina or South Carolina. He's a phony. Asmodor gave a super chat and says over there on Odyssey, this Democrats created the KKK is a stupid retcon of history or reaction. I don't know. Retcon of history. The Democrat Party during the Civil War era was the actual good party, the party of Andrew Jackson, who was a solid guy, a nationalist. The Republicans were founded on Marxist principles, says Azzmador. The party alignments began changing in the early 20th century. And you did hear that, like, what's that guy's name? The Lincoln, he did quote or say stuff similar to what Karl Marx was saying. And they didn't want the South to have their states' rights. And I think there's a lot of decency in the South, even back then, that isn't acknowledged today. They pretend that slavery was the worst evil thing, but they don't want to look at the evil going on today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the more years go by, the less it'll be remembered, to the point to where it'll just never be brought up.
Yeah.
It kind of, just a real quick, it kind of reminds me of the whole abortion thing, about how we all know the stupid arguments or whatever. But I heard that beanbag chair with dreads on The View the other day say something about you're going to force a woman to have a baby who's not ready to be a parent.
Yeah.
Completely omitting the fact that, well, was she forced to lay down with a man out
Usually
of wedlock?
not. Right.
It's almost gone.
Yeah.
That argument is not even talked about. Having sex out of wedlock is not even mentioned, because so much time has gone by. Now it's, you're forcing them to be a parent. Well, who forced her to lay down? No, that's not even an issue. That's not even talked about.
Beanbag chair with dreadlocks. That's a reference to Whoopi Goldberg. She should have stayed in Sister Act.
Hey, how'd you guess that? Anyway, yeah, it was cool talking to you, man. I'll call again whenever I can, buddy.
Great call, Joe. I appreciate you, man. Take care.
All right, bud.
Merry Christmas. Bye. Wow. Azzmador says with another super chat, the KKK was created by Confederate veterans immediately after the Civil War, most notably Nathan Bedford Forrest. And that guy is honored. He has statues in the South, Nathan Bedford Forrest, to resist the oppressive Northern occupation and denial of Southerners' rights. And you look at what's going on today, sounds quite plausible, because look at what they're doing today to Trump supporters, people who participated in the Unite the Right rally, which was a completely peaceful protest by whites and pro-America people who don't like the tearing down of these Confederate monuments and American monuments. They had this Unite the Right rally. They had a permit to protest. They had to fight. The ACLU, wolves in sheep's clothing, pretended to fight for them to have their right to protest. And then they got turned around and set up. Antifa attacked them. Black Lives Matter attacked them. One of them drove into a crowd. One woman, some people did something. One woman died, Heather Heyer. And they railroaded James Alex Fields. And they railroaded a whole bunch of people who were totally peaceful protesters, sued them, got them, charged them, called them all kinds of evil things, and just lied about them. Trump was the only man who said there was violence on many sides and very fine people on both sides. And that's a bit gracious, honestly, to the left, because the left are evil, and they were the primary aggressors. Same thing what they did to the January 6th stuff. And the mostly peaceful Capitol protest for election integrity, that was called an insurrection. Trump called the other thing the insurrection. And so now the feds are coming down, the DOJ. Oh my gosh. This leads me to, and then I will get to Lord Grimm coming up next in Justin Fullerton. Hang tight, guys. Let me tell you about this evil thing, voting rights. Who's stepping in, the far-left female-run outlet reports? The Justice Department. Total misnomer. The Justice Department is not about justice. Yesterday, they filed a lawsuit, DOJ, United States Department of So-Called Justice, filed a lawsuit in Texas alleging over its new map. In October, the Texas Republican-controlled legislature approved congressional districts following the 2020 census. The census reflects the population's change over the past 10 years, gives states the opportunity to redraw electoral maps based on it, redistricting. In some instances, lawmakers can redraw maps to benefit a specific party or group. That's what the Democrats have been doing with this mass immigration, invasion. In Texas's case, minority voters made up about 95% of the state's 4 million new Texans. Isn't that disgusting? So-called minorities, meaning anti-whites, really, is what they mean by that. Many of them are not anti-white. Some of them will, a tiny minority of those minority voters, that 95% of the state's 4 million new Texans, may be like, love white people in America, but most of them do not. And the mainstream media and the Democrats and the rhinos make sure of that. So the Lone Star State gets 2 new House seats, but after a review, the DOJ said, hold on a minute, alleging the state discriminated against Black and Latino voters by denying them equal opportunity to elect representatives, which violates the Voting Rights Act. Tucker Carlson pointed out that this mass immigration against the will of the people is another violation of voting rights. That's the real voting rights issue. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, a Republican, called the lawsuit absurd, but he's weak, honestly, I think. Sorry, Ken Paxton, I'm rooting for you. Stay strong, but I don't know. He said the changes will be proven lawful, hopefully. Listen to this. Oh, man, it's a 5-minute clip. Listen to this clip. Breaking 911 on Twitter shared this. Associate Attorney General Vanita Gupta. And she won confirmation because a rhino Republican, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, voted her in. It was a 51-49 vote this evil woman got, won confirmation by the evil Senate as Associate Attorney General. Here is Vanita Gupta, 47-year-old first woman of color in the Justice Department history to serve as Associate Attorney General. And she's an evil ACLU communist, anti-white, anti-American. Listen to her babble on about Voting Rights Act and Black and Latino voters. Sick.
The right to vote is foundational to our democracy, and the Justice Department is charged with protecting that right.
Shut up.
Today, we are filing suit against the state of Texas based on our determination that Texas's 2021 redistricting plans violate Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. The department reached that determination after a careful assessment of the facts and the law.
Yeah, right.
I want to thank the career staff of the Civil Rights Division's voting section for their tremendous efforts on this investigation.
It's phony.
Our complaint today alleges that the redistricting plans approved by the Texas state legislature and signed into law by the governor will deny Black and Latino voters an equal opportunity to participate in the voting process and to elect representatives of their choice in violation of the Voting Rights Act. Our complaint also alleges that several of those districts were drawn with discriminatory intent.
Yeah, okay.
Texas's 2021 redistricting plans were enacted through a rushed process with minimal opportunity for public comment, without any expert testimony, and with an overall disregard for the massive minority population growth in Texas over the last decade.
Illegals.
Texas's
and
population grew by 4 million people from 2010 to 2020. And 95% of that growth came from minority populations.
Sick, huh?
Despite
Terrifying.
the significant increase in the number and proportion of eligible Latino and Black voters in Texas, the newly enacted redistricting plans will not allow minority voters an equal opportunity to elect representatives of their choice.
Stupid.
Instead, our investigation determined that Texas's redistricting plans will dilute the increased minority voting strength that should have developed from these significant demographic shifts. For example, Texas will gain 2 new congressional seats because of its population growth, almost all of which is due to growth in the state's minority population. However, Texas has designed both of those new seats to have white voting majorities.
Yes.
The congressional plan also deliberately reconfigured a West Texas district to eliminate the opportunity for Latino voters to elect a representative of their choice. This is the 3rd time in 3 decades where Texas has eliminated a Latino electoral opportunity in this same district, despite previous court determinations that this violates the law.
Annoying woman.
And the state House plan eliminated Latino electoral opportunities by manipulating or eliminating districts where Latino communities previously had elected their preferred candidates.
Democrats.
These redistricting plans will diminish the opportunities for Latino and Black voters in Texas to elect their preferred representatives. And that is prohibited by federal law. The complaint asks the court to prohibit Texas from conducting elections under the challenge plans and asks the court to order Texas to devise and implement new redistricting plans that comply with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. The complaint
rid of
also
that.
asks the court to establish interim plans pending a lawful state redistricting. This is
You
not the
can read
first
a
time
teleprompter.
Texas has acted to minimize the voting rights of its minority citizens. Decade after decade, courts have found that Texas has enacted redistricting plans that
Corrupt
deliberately dilute the voting strength of Latino and Black voters and that violate the Voting Rights Act. The Attorney General has made clear that the Justice Department will not stand idly by in the face of unlawful attempts to restrict access to the ballot.
He's not a
Today's
Christian
filing
either.
demonstrates that commitment to this charge. The Justice Department stands ready to protect the constitutionally guaranteed voting rights of Americans in Texas and indeed
Americans,
throughout
yeah,
the
right.
country. Thank you.
95% of growth is so-called minorities. She was that annoying woman, girl in the class. You guys had classes with annoying little schoolgirls like this? She was born in Philadelphia, PA, to Indian immigrant parents. Anchor baby. Sick woman. Anyway, pretty disgusting stuff, huh? And she was a part of the ACLU, and she was also part of the Civil and Human Rights Conference on Civil and Human Rights, nation's oldest and largest coalition of nonpartisan. Yeah, right, nonpartisan. Civil and human rights are all communist. Communist. Fake anti-American stuff. Anyway, she was an evil person. And by the way, the Attorney General is not a Christian, by the way. He is Obama's pick for the Supreme Court, who got stonewalled from the Supreme Court. That's that evil guy, Merrick Garland. Disgusting, huh? Anderson MR says, you aren't a citizen if you aren't white. Yeah. Duct tape, please. Bader Stiffen says. Yeah. Awful, huh? Anyway, these sassy, evil people coming in. She has dead eyes, says Michelle, 67. Know-it-alls, says Misty. Yeah. Yeah, you know those obnoxious, over-involved, meddling females and female-minded liberal communists, enemies of America. What a mess. Send them back. Let me get to Lord Grimm in Washington, D.C. here. Thank you, Lord Grimm, for holding. How are you?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, happy Tuesday. Happy Country and Western Tuesday.
Indeed. It was Country and Western Tuesday on the Jesse Lee Peterson Show, guest hosted by Nick.
Amazing. And also, happy birthday. I just realized you're a Cancer, too, just like me. That's what's up, man.
Yeah. A cancer to society. That's cool, man.
Amazing. Yeah, I wanted to just give a little. I know you got someone else coming in after me, right? So I don't want to be too long, but I just want to just give a little brief description of Mark Robinson. I had talked a little bit about him on the cross stream, but
cool.
William from California, actually, he told me about him. William from California.
Yeah.
He actually told me about Mark Robinson. One time he sent me a link to a video from him when he was inside of a church giving a speech, and he was talking about pretty much he was really going hard on the fact that this homosexual stuff is pretty much, this is his words, and I agree with him, but this is his words, and he said that it's, it's evil, you know what I mean?
Right.
And more specifically, he's getting a bad rap right now. He's getting a lot of people attacking him right now because he's going hard on, more specifically, like the stuff being taught in schools that have to deal with homosexuality, because they're putting cartoon descriptions of the same sex, doing some vulgar stuff.
Right.
And so he's really going hard on that. More, in specific, he's going really hard on that. And they're coming at him hard, man. And one person told me, I think it was William who told me, he's like this guy is like a black Trump, and I kind of agree with him on that because I kind of agree with him on that because he is, just like Trump was straightforward and direct and getting a lot of bad flack for that. That's the same thing with Mark Robinson. He's straightforward and direct.
Yeah.
And of course, the powers that be and all of his minions are coming at him full throttle for pretty much being, real and not trying to be politically correct and just speaking, the truth, and he's using a lot of Bible, a lot of Christian belief to back up what he's saying as well.
Okay.
So it's good to see. Not only is he black, but he's a real, in my opinion, he seems like a real man trying to fight for the truth. So I encourage people to check him out and see if they can support him too, man, because we need more people like him in this government. You know what I mean? Cause, we need that. We definitely need that.
Well, thank you, man. I'll be looking into him. I remember seeing some video of his, and it was all right.
Yeah.
It was all right. Cool, man.
I just started getting into it, checking them out because of William from California. So shout out to William from California too. But
nice.
Shout out to you and everybody in the chat, man. You guys are holding it down. By the way, JLP. Let the guy get his relaxation, man. Cause
I agree.
Because, people act like JLP can't take off. This man is always in.
Yep.
For us, you know what I mean. Literally always showing up to work for the most part for us, and the least we could do is be patient and let him get through what he got to get through, man.
Yep.
Simple
That's cool.
as that. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, God bless you all, and I'll be in the chat, man.
Great call, Lord Grimm. Appreciate you. Take care. Merry Christmas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You too.
All right. That is cool. Real quick, did you know, before I get to Justin Fullerton, California, mental illness, the far-left female-run outlet TheSkimm reports 64% of people with a mental illness say the holidays, I keep on doing the air quotes, make their conditions worse. That's according to National Alliance on Mental Illness study. Whether or not you have a diagnosed disorder, you could still feel like it's not the most wonderful time of the year. So the far-left females at TheSkimm asked a psychologist for tips because they're a bunch of atheist commies, dumb women, intellectuals, don't believe in God. Typical, huh? Typical. Shameful. Anyway, let me get to Justin in Fullerton in the last 2 minutes here. Justin, how are you doing?
Hi, good day to you, sir. Doing all right. Thanks for having me on.
Nice.
I had just to kind of recap something and then mention something that happened to me at work. As a recap from the last time we talked, here's my question. So in America, how do we stop forced medications and enforce my body, my choice, specifically as it relates to choice of my medicine or whoever's a medicine in America?
I don't know. You're going to have to get men back in charge maybe for that. Because men don't micromanage people's lives. They enforce morals and push Christian values upon the people because it's better for everyone. But they don't go in and say, you have to go get this vaccine for this China virus, and you have to have the EPA meddling in your business and all that stupid stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what a real leader should do. Okay. And then as it happened
Men
to
of
me
logic.
recently, I just want. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
And one more thing I want to mention happened to me at work. It was awkward and stuff. I had a temporary worker working in my office. She is a person of like maybe 20s, African American, and stated that in flip-flops, coming in with like Nike flip-flops and this hairpiece, that she's sorry, she feels bad. She came in dressed this way, inappropriate, but she'll change by tomorrow. I said, no problem, whatever. And the hairpiece, whatever, it was more, I don't know if you call it fashionable or not, but it was just, it's not work-related, but I'm not her boss. And so I just said, fine, we need the help. And then 2-3 weeks later, she was caught telling one of the managers caught her stating that a Japanese resident that called in sounded so Japanese it wasn't even pathetic, was told to leave work because of what she stated, and said, but Justin mentioned that he wanted to see my hair, and I did not. I just said, and I'm sitting down with corporate and meeting, and I was telling myself, this is amazing. Just because I'm a
Crazy
white male,
woman.
I have to, huh?
Sounds like a crazy woman, man. I got to end,
Crazy.
Justin. We are overtime. Call me again, man.
Sounds good. Good night.
All right. Take care. All right, guys. This has been the Hake Report, thehakereport.com. Your girlfriend says Psaki is a horrible press secretary. She constantly stutters and has no personal insight on what she's reporting to the press. Alexandra says, black people call Hake and be like, "Aight, Den, take care, my brother." And Hake will be like, "Thank you, that's very nice." Well, thank you guys. TheHakeReport.com, JesseLeePeterson.com, and RebuildingTheMan.com. Take care, guys.